This September saw the launch of the month-long inaugural London Poker Festival, featuring more than 100 events, from grassroots tournaments to some of the world's biggest poker events, including the EPT, WPT and, of course, the World Series of Poker Europe. So we took our cameras along to a few of the events to see what it's all about. As September fell on London, so did the world's poker community, all with a view of taking down some of the biggest and most prestigious prizes in poker.
London and maybe Europe as a whole have been established as kind of like August and September, maybe even to October, as a good time for people to come over here.
It pretty much all started with the Woodstock P 4 years ago. It sort of made sense for the EPT to follow, and then from there we've had the WPT, and now they've even started the Poker Festival, where the whole month of September is just completely packed up.
It's probably the busiest month in the whole year besides the World Series. It's like huge.
I think that's a testament to the growth of certainly the game in this country, throughout Europe, the online industry. I mean, really Europe, and particularly here in London, we've seen a great resurgence of interest in the game, and event number 1 today is a complete sellout.
With so much going on, London proved a big draw for the world's biggest pros, as well as some more unlikely celebrities, including heavyweight boxing champion, the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
Poker is just a way a person thinks. It's strategy how you beat somebody. Dennis will probably be the most difficult person to beat in poker, because he's a very reserved, calm person who think a lot.
A lot of top players love the aspect of being a professional poker player because you do get to travel around and see the world. And obviously, who wouldn't want to come to London for a few days and play some poker on the side as well. So it's just a great thing to do.
I've been in Israel, Romania, Cyprus, France. I went back home to Miami. Now, 6 days later, I flew back to England, flying back, coming back again. It's just crazy.
There's a lot of tournaments here, so you can get a lot of value out of the travel time.
I think just generally the more interest and the more opportunities there are to get people playing, the better.
I'm going to play a few of the WSOP events, and I'm going to be here for a couple weeks. It's kind of nice to get away from Vegas, come somewhere a little bit different.
We had Eric Seidel as a big chip leader. Phil Ivey was sitting in 4th place. Huck Seed was around. These are 3 giant players from the U.S. Yeah. In fact, the biggest players in the world.
I was surprised that we still had as many big names this year as we did last year, because I thought it was the first one last year, maybe it was just a bit of a novelty, but we had a right old slew of the stars in, so I think it's just a nice little kick-off in it.
Success stories such as the relocation of the English Poker Open and the inaugural British Poker Awards prove London's poker scene is blossoming. But Las Vegas, this isn't, and comparisons to some of America's biggest venues highlighted what a different prospect poker is outside of Vegas.
For any big-time poker tournament, any $10,000 buy-in tournament, you have to run satellites to have a successful event in terms of large numbers of players. Yeah. The problem with London, as I see it in terms of running satellites, is most of the poker rooms, there are many poker rooms here, but most of them are smallish.
It's certainly not the size and scope of the World Series where you have thousands of runners, thousands of players. Here it's the hundreds. But when you take the hundreds and the caliber of players, it tends to be, I think most people would agree, a more competitive event. Certainly the skill level, the talent level is considerably higher in this event. It's clearly different here in London. But again, I think a lot of players like that.
Despite some teething problems, the glut of card action provoked a generally positive response from the poker community, although the sheer number of events left some people decidedly on the fence.
Right now there's so many tournaments out on the schedule that basically once a week or twice a week you can play in a TV event. So the players are just going from one to another.
That's like Barney ran out of here to go to the WSOP, and the next guy moves from here to there.
Some guy busted out and then ran off.
Yeah, exactly. One of our guys from the final table was like, I'd love to stay and do an interview, but I've got to get to the WSOP. So I think if you're a poker player, you've just got to grab hold of this period, haven't you? It's like, this is great. It means I can just go bang, 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 and then you've got Christmas to sort of land you back on the cover.
In a sense, having a lot of other tournaments around is a good thing in one way. Kind of like if you build a restaurant and then you build 3 or 4 more restaurants, everyone starts going there to eat, because they realize that's where it's at. And I think that's what's happened with London is now people that maybe were ambivalent or maybe are on the fence about coming to London, now they say, there's not just 1 or 2 tournaments, there's maybe 3 or 4, and some of them are really big tournaments.
Are there too many casinos in Las Vegas? No, because you want to go there for casinos. So I think it's great for the London poker scene.
Even in Vegas these days, you can't play as many high-quality live tournaments than you can in London. If you want to be a professional poker player, they used to say, go to Vegas. I think in general, people should be in the UK and Ireland right now.
I think it's just like a natural progression. like, outside of Las Vegas, if you could have a major poker city, why wouldn't it be one of the best cities of the world?
So, Neil, the eyes of the poker world seem to fall on London in September, and it seems that London is the place to be if you're a poker player.
It's great, yeah. Normally you have to jump on aeroplanes to go to these poker tournaments, and now I can just wake up late and jump in a cab. The WPT, the EPT, the World Series of Poker Europe, and of course the highlight of the month for most people, I think, the British Poker Awards.
Ah, talk to me about that. What did you win?
Yeah, I did actually win one. I'm glad you asked me about that. The best cash player. Very exciting. I was very excited about that.
Very exciting indeed. Well done. Well, thanks, Neil, and more from Neil later on. And coming up in part 2 of the show, we'll be taking a look at your letters and emails, getting to know this man just a little bit better, and we'll be taking a look ahead to some of the best poker events coming your way. Join us after the break.